Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I know, so good to see you, too. We're going to start today's show exactly where we left off yesterday, and that is remembering an American icon, Dolly Parton. Now, of course, you know, she passed away. I just want to share with you from our news partners, WFAA. They did a great little 2-minute package here remembering Dolly, and it's done in a way that is done from the perspective of a Texan and, you know, remembering her overlap with our community here. So what a great job they did, and I don't know if I could do better than this, so I'm just going to play it for you. WFAA, remembering Dolly Parton.
This was hard news to take this afternoon. Her music spanned generations, and she was loved almost universally, you could say. Country music superstar Dolly Parton has passed away. Here is a live look this afternoon from the Hollywood Walk of Fame where her star is located. You can see people gathered there, some people being interviewed. People have been laying flowers there at her star all afternoon. Dolly Parton's death comes just months after she revealed she was battling some health challenges. ABC's George Pinocchio takes a look back at Dolly Parton's remarkable life.
Dolly Parton was on the showbiz clock for more than 60 years. Making her mark took time, talent, and tenacity. She got her start writing songs, one of the many things we discussed when I had the pleasure of sitting down with her for a long interview in 2023.
When I was 7, I got pretty good on the guitar, and when I got pretty good on the guitar, then I got pretty good at writing songs.
She sure did. At 21, she was invited to appear on Porter Wagner's popular TV show, and a star was born. By then, Dolly was ready to set out on her own. She wrote Wagner a farewell song. It became a massive hit. Along the way, she won too many awards to count. She told me that the one that made her proudest of all, the American Songwriters Hall of Fame.
When I got put into the Country Music Songwriters Hall of Fame, that was a big deal. But then I got put into the big one, up there with the big guys, the biggest of all, the Gershwins and all that.
She received an Oscar, the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, and it was well-deserved. Among her many charitable ventures, a $1 million donation that helped develop the COVID vaccine, several $1 million for disaster relief after the Tennessee wildfires, and her imagination library, sending free books to small children around the world. As of today, more than 300 million books and counting.
That was George Pinocchio bringing us that this afternoon. Dolly had plenty of ties here to North Texas as well, including a fairly recent appearance. You may remember when she performed at the Cowboys' big Thanksgiving halftime show back in 2023, dressed up just like the Cowboys cheerleaders. Still had it after all those years.
All right, thank you. That was our news partner, WFAA. And then here's a clip that looks like it's from the early 90s, just maybe late 80s, based on the David Letterman's hairline. Dolly Parton did her own top 10 on the Letterman show. I'm guessing this is between 30 and 40 years ago.
Top 10 Dolly Parton pet peeves. Yes, sir. And now, to assist us in the presentation of tonight's top 10 list, please welcome live from Dollywood, Dolly Parton, her own self. Dolly, there you go. Okay, the category tonight, top 10 Dolly Parton pet peeves. Dolly, are you all set? Here we go.
I'm ready.
Okay, number 10.
Accountants who don't understand how much it costs to make me look this cheap.
Yes. Number 9.
Trying to play guitar in these 5-inch fingernails.
They're great. Number 8.
When the county declares my hair a fire hazard.
Number 7.
Confused Dalai Lama constantly asking for theme park royalties.
Number 6.
You can't get a wig repaired because Letterman's got some kind of a hairpiece crisis.
Number 5.
A rhinestone rash.
Yeah, okay. Number 4. 4.
Whenever
Number
he
4.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Let's just go home, Dolly. Number 4.
Okay, when he visits Dollywood gift shops, Garth Brooks always shoplifts stuff under that big hat of his. Yeah, let's do go home. Okay. Just 3
Dolly
more.
been smoking her own self.
We grow that stuff
Number
down here.
3. Number 3.
Okay, smart-ass MCs who introduced me by saying, and now here they are, Dolly Parton.
Number 2.
When the Super Bowl is over, winner never says, hey, I'm going to Dollywood.
That's right. And now, the number 1 Dolly Parton pet peeve.
Nobody notices I've got a great ass, too.
There you go. Coming up next, the Republican National Chairman is going to be on the show, Joe Gruder, previewing the midterm convention, which is happening 2 weeks from today, kind of where I'm sitting, really just next door. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Texas homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Some of you may not have a typical roof, and we're wondering if Blue Ribbon can help you at all. So if you go to blueribbondfw.com, under the frequently asked questions, what roofing materials do you install? Looks like most of them. Asphalt, shingles, that's what I got on mine. But metal roofing, tile, TPO, modified bitumen, I don't even know what that is, but they do a lot. So if you don't have a regular roof, if you're not looking for a house, if you have a commercial, if you have an industrial roof, if you have something that's out of the ordinary, Blue Ribbon Roofing has been around for over 30 years. They've probably seen it. They can probably do it. But go ahead and get them to come out and check out your roof. It doesn't cost anything for the roof inspection. So if you're wondering if you need a new roof, if you need roof repairs, and if you have the type of roof Blue Ribbon can handle, that doesn't cost you anything. But it starts by you going to the website. Go to blueribbondfw.com. The Republican midterm convention comes to town in just 2 weeks. I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And my next guest is the guy that seems to be in charge of all of that, Joe Gruters. He is the Republican National Committee chairman, the national chairman on The James Show. Welcome, Joe. All right. So first question, before we get into anything too ugly, let's just start with the party. The guy listening to us right now, if he wants to go to the Republican midterm convention in 2 weeks, is it too late for him to get a ticket? So how is the ticketing different than the regular conventions that have always happened? Yeah, we got that link last week. We shared it out on our socials, and I had a handful of people call in or write me in and say they're in, but there wasn't like much of a background check process or anything. Are we worried about security just handing out tickets willy-nilly? Ah, okay. Well, do you think they'll still let me in then? What does it cost? Yeah, I noticed that too. Okay, so for the people listening who have never been to anything like this, if they go to the convention, what's there for them besides seeing a few speeches? What can they partake in? Is there going to be an area where y'all have the booths set up like at CPAC where you can go see the different organizations and the materials they have to offer? Or is that a different event? Okay. All right, we're talking with Joe Gruters, the RNC chairman, about the midterm convention coming to the American Airlines Center here in 2 weeks from today. Are you allowed to tell me if there's any special musical guest, or are we keeping that under the wraps? All right. Well, if you need to fill any time there, me and Good Garrett will do a duet. It'll be like a tribute to Dolly Parton or something. That's a joke. Joe Gruters, we are looking around in the immediate vicinity of the American Airlines Center where we're sitting right now. I've already been told about 4 different giant groups that are putting together their own little parties. So it seems like a big part of this event isn't even going to be what's happening in the American Airlines Center. If you can't get tickets, you might want to come down here because I think someone's rented out the W ballroom. Someone's rented out the ballroom across the street over there. And there's Well, this is going to be the biggest convention y'all have had of any type since 2016. Is that what I read? Yeah. All right, we're talking with Joe Gruters, the RNC chairman, about the midterm convention that's coming to town 2 weeks from today. Now, when we have big events like this, I kind of foresee that from here on out, we're going to have midterm conventions. Like this is just going to be the new, this isn't a one-off. This isn't just an experiment. This is going to be the new standard. All right, this is Joe Gruters. He's the RNC chairman, giving you a little preview of what's going to happen in 2 weeks at the GOP midterm convention at the American Airlines Center, where I'm broadcasting right now. That was a nice segment. Coming up next, I'm going to ask you some tougher questions. I'm going to ask you to make the pitch to the independent voter, to the skeptical Republican, and you'll hear it in about, 5 minutes on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. The Republican convention's coming to town in 2 weeks. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I'm continuing with the Republican National Committee Chairman, Joe Gruder's on the James Show. You know, Joe, there's been a lot of talk online that the Republicans deciding for the first time in history to have a midterm convention and make a big deal of it and to place it in Texas. You must be worried about losing your Senate seat to Tallarico. Your response to that? Well, here's another thing that's rolling through the rumor mill here in Texas, Joe, is that Ken Paxton has money in the bank. He's not spending it yet. He's not going to go to November without spending it. So he's just waiting for the last month or two here, because that's really all we got left. So if he's just hanging all of his hopes on this last, 6 weeks of the campaign, and he's saving millions of dollars, he must have one hell of an October surprise we don't know about yet. I've seen this before, and these October surprises, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe they have a picture of James Tallarico punching a baby or something. But if it comes out, just remember I said that. All right. Well, let's go to the disaffected, kind of disinterested voter, Joe Gruders. There's a lot of people who are Republican or Republican leaning, but they're not too happy because Republicans haven't, done so many things they said they were going to do. They haven't really cut the budget. They haven't balanced the budget. We don't have the SAVE Act. We haven't even tried to repeal Obamacare. They're not even trying to put pen to paper on a birthright citizenship amendment. So what's your message to those guys who feel like, what's the point of voting for these guys if I didn't get the bang for my buck 2 years ago? All right. I'm not ignoring you here. I just got an email from some fella named Dan who wants to know how to get the tickets again. All right, that's it. Well, that'll have to do. We're out of time. Joe Gruder's RNC chairman. Thanks for stopping by the little old James show and giving us a preview of the midterm convention coming in 2 weeks. I guess I'll see you again. Yeah, come on back on anytime. All right, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. If you have any response to that, because I hear from you people who are saying, what's the point of voting for him again if we didn't get X, Y, Z? So these are all worthy complaints. We just can't solve them all on the James Show today. All right, coming up next, J.D. Vance had a good little soundbite where he talks about H-1B visas crushing American workers. And you know that hits home here in North Texas. You'll hear it next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Remember, when you're waking up, the morning show has already started, so join the WBAP morning show from 5 to 9. J.D. Vance out giving a speech somewhere about something else, but he talked in this little segment here about H-1B visas crushing American workers. When we have the stats, it should be a bigger deal when I tell you 32,000 H-1B workers were approved just in the North Texas, just in our metropolitan area in the last 4 years. 32,000. That's just the workers. Now, they all can bring their families over, so you added in another, 4 to 10 people there. And so what are we getting flooded with here? Over 100,000, maybe 200,000 people? Now, that sounds big, and it is. It's huge. But sometimes if you just take the one storyline of an individual, it's even more powerful. Because every single one of those 32,000 jobs that's now going to be an H-1B worker used to be an American, used to be your neighbor, used to be your college roommate, used to be your friend's oldest son, used to be your Sunday school teacher's second daughter. Everyone, 32,000 careers are now, if not destroyed, at least set back. Some to never recover again. So I just want to just add a little gravity to the context before I play you this J.D. Vance clip.
I remember when somebody would come to school and tell me that their dad had just found out that he had lost his job, that the factory that employed their parents was going overseas to China or to Mexico. In other cases, American workers didn't just have their jobs destroyed, they got told they were being replaced by a foreign worker, and then they had to train that worker before they got replaced. Some of these stories have made national news, and they've stuck with me. 3 years after the Wall Street Journal called for the free movement of labor, a computer programmer, not a mill worker, a computer programmer by the name of Kevin Flanagan was let go at the bank that he worked at. And the bank, they told him, you're only going to get your severance package if you trained a foreign replacement to do your job instead. And it's a heartbreaking story because he did it. He dutifully did what he was asked to do, and on his last day, he packed up his things, he walked to the office parking lot, he got in his truck, and he shot himself. It's not just Kevin, as you all know. Now, economists have measured the ways in which the opioid crisis exploded in the very locations where jobs were shipped overseas. The open borders demanded by those same people brought some innocent people, of course it did. But we also know that it brought a lot of cartels, it brought the fentanyl trade, and it left us with millions of orphan children being raised by aggrieved grandparents. That was the story, of course, of my mama and papa. Now, the blood of these men and women, these so-called deaths of despair, I'm sure you've heard that phrase, but it's almost too abstract for me, because the blood of those people, in my view, it pools at the feet of those who would sell out their country for a cheap bottom line.
The man killed himself. For those 32,000 H-1B visas that got approved for North Texas in the last 4 years, 32,000 Americans are not going to have that job. Some of them are being displaced. But it's not just those 32,000. You just heard about this one guy who had to train his replacement. He was being replaced by an H-1B immigrant, undercutting him, went out to his car and killed himself. But for thousands and thousands of moms and dads out there who are losing their job to this program completely unnecessarily, how many of them have kids who aren't going to go to college now? How many of them are going to have kids and now they can't help them buy a car, so now the kid has to work a part-time job to afford a car. Now the kid's going to get lower grades, and it's just going to set him back. I mean, how many people are affected by this in small ways all the way up to taking their own life? The H-1B visa system needs to end. We already have another visa system for people who are incredible geniuses that we couldn't possibly live without. And this is clearly being used to displace American workers for profit. And it's not always profit of the evil capitalist corporations acting all corporation-y. This is happening in Dallas ISD. This is happening in the Texas A&M college system. This is happening in all of our college systems. You can't tell me we can't find someone else to be a lunch lady at a middle school in Mesquite. You can't tell me we can't find someone else to be a teacher's assistant in College Station. This has to end. Every H-1B visa worker that displaces an American ruins an American life. And there's always been a push and pull going way back. Don't think this may be one of the few things I understand outside of radio and broadcasting. I went to college for computer science. I used to be a programmer. I don't know if I could do it anymore because I hadn't done it in 25 years, and I'm sure that's all passed me by. But when I first fell out of college, I moved here to North Texas because there was tech jobs everywhere. They were coming and recruiting us off of campus. They were even going to Bug Tussle Baptist University and recruiting people. So I came here and I got a job. I got laid off after about a year, and then I got another job and I got laid off after 6 months. Got another job, got laid off after a year. So in 2.5 years, I got laid off 3 times from tech jobs. Every single one of them was an outsource. I, myself, in my early 20s, lost 3 jobs. Now they're just bringing them over here to replace you. So I know what's going on. Hell, I might not be in radio today. I might probably be making more money if I could have stayed on the course I was on. But if we don't have politicians who are asking to end this, why would we vote for them? And this is what's so ugly about the political situation we have today. Because what do you want? I don't know what you want, but are you close to me? I would like a balanced budget. Neither party cares about balancing the budget. I would like to end the H-1B visa program. Neither party's really talking about that. Neither party's talking about getting rid of Obamacare. Neither party's talking about photo ID. Neither party's talking about birthright citizenship. I understand why a third of the country never votes. You got nothing to vote for. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right. Coming up next on the James Show, a quick update on the Carmelo Anthony situation. This won't take long. There is an update. And then I have great news from the founder of Buc-ee's. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I know, good to see you too. Terrible update here. This is in reaction to the Carmelo Anthony situation. Look, we already did the thing last week where he tried to get a new trial. That didn't happen. They're going forward with the appeals process here. But the reaction from the dad is just heartbreaking here. And I give anyone who's lost a child all the latitude and grace I can possibly muster. I have 4 kids. I had one of my kids get sick once. He was in the hospital. And there's a little switch that flips in your head. When you look at the doctor and you ask him, just as serious as you can be, you can say, is my son going to be okay? And if the doctor looks back at you and he says, I don't know, that's a traumatic experience. Just the thought that I might lose my son, dude, it's like getting punched in the face by Mike Tyson. And so just having that little taste, and I've had other people around me pass away. I had a first cousin who lived down the road from me in Buck Tussle who died when we were teenagers in a domestic accident. I thought he would be someone I grew up with. I thought he'd be in my wedding, I'd be in his wedding, and our kids would play together. No, we just lost him. So while I haven't lost a child, I can only imagine it's even worse than the pain I've already felt. And so imagine if you're the dad of the guy that got killed by Carmelo Anthony and you've got to watch all of this news coverage about your son and the guy who murdered him. So with that, here's a just heart-tearing reaction from the dad and a great report from our news partners, WFAA.
For the first time since a judge denied the appeal of Carmelo Anthony, we're hearing from the father of Austin Metcalf about new details released in court.
Gut-wrenching.
Jeff Metcalf says he didn't know all the accusations about his son's behavior. In court, lawyers say Austin Metcalf previously got in trouble for graffitiing KKK, kill all black people, used the N-word, and bullied a black student.
The stuff that came out, I'm not proud of my boys for doing that. They got punished at home for that behavior. I don't condone it. It's not what I believe.
Jeff Metcalf, who has faced criticism for his own racist comments, said at an event for the foundation he started in Austin's name that he doesn't want people to judge his son only on a snippet of his life.
I would ask these people, did you know my son personally?
The appeal also contained new revelations about Carmelo Anthony, including that he threatened an ex-girlfriend and texted repeatedly about violence, including writing, "When I stab somebody, I'm going to lick their blood off the blade." In a new statement to ABC News, Anthony's attorney says his legal defense is not intended to diminish Austin Metcalf's life or his family's grief. Legitimate questions about racial fairness, equal treatment, public access, judicial impartiality, and the constitutional process cannot be dismissed as merely bringing race into the case. These new details from court were kept secret as part of a deal the lawyers made before the trial, which Jeff Metcalf says he didn't know about.
Do I wish it would have come out?
From both sides, you wish all the information come out.
Look, when you got 20 pages versus 75, and then these words versus these words.
He says if a jury knew, he thinks they would have doubled Anthony's sentence. In Frisco, I'm Cole Sullivan.
All right, that's just brutal. But Cole Sullivan, great report. I wish we did that a little bit more often. You know, I always say when we have some of these other stories, why does this Carmelo Anthony case get so much attention? Why does the community raise so much money for Carmelo Anthony? But in these other stories, no big deal. In these other stories, there was just a double shooting in an apartment a couple nights back. A couple of black people lost, or one black person lost their life. The other one was able to go to the hospital and was in critical condition. And we don't get any follow-ups on that. But does anyone go put a microphone in front of the face of the family of that murder victim? Does anyone go put a microphone in front of the face of the victims that don't fit the narrative? Did you hear from the parents of Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian 23-year-old lady that was stabbed to death on the train in Charlotte? You even know their name? You ever heard from them? You ever seen their face? Why is that? Why don't you hear about that? 800-288-9227. Granted, It's a rhetorical question. You know damn well why you don't hear about it. It doesn't fit the narrative. And doing that would upend the narrative. You know, if they treated black on black crimes just as much with just as much fervor as they treated these interracial tragedies, it would be quite apparent to all of America, black and white, that the most dangerous thing in America for your black neighbors isn't white rural rage. It's not even in the top 10 priorities. It's probably not even in the top 100 priorities. And that's the real shame. All this lying, all this bias, it doesn't even help the community that they think they're trying to protect, or they act like they're trying to protect. All right, coming up next on the James Show, some of this, is this real? Target had to apologize and pull a Halloween costume that was criticized as racist. And guess what? It's not really racist. I'll explain next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, ladies out there, listen, I know you're a superwoman. You got to take care of everybody. You got to go pick up the kids. You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your parents. And you do 100 things before most people even finish breakfast. But if you have to do all this with a nagging pain, that makes it so much harder. And it doesn't have to be like that. James Parker here for QC Kinetics. Have you tried them out? They have these regenerative treatments, space-age technologies that may be able to get rid of that pain for you. They can't lighten your load, can't take chores off your list, but we can make those efforts pain-free. But you got to find out if it'll work for you. The consultation doesn't cost you anything. So go ahead, give them a call, go in, and if it does work for you, you're going to like the fact that there's no surgery, there's no incisions, there's no stitches, there's no drugs, there's no recovery, there's no anesthetic, you don't miss work, you don't miss time. And I know it sounds like a miracle, but go check it out for yourself. Call QC Kinetics, 972-972-8610. 972-972-8610.
Target is pulling children's Halloween costumes after
Well, it's almost Halloween, so we have to do the annual pretending costumes are racist when they're clearly not thing. It's a hell of an intro for a segment. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. 2 weeks from today, the Republican midterm convention is going to be right here at the American Airlines Center, and did a great couple of segments with the national chairman of the Republican National Committee. It's going to be a hell of a party here. So just remember, September 9th and 10th, put it on WBAP. And if you come out, let me know. Say hi. And also stick around because later in the show, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a preview because there's some security stuff that I'm not supposed to tell you that I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm kidding, Secret Service. I know you're listening right now. I was just seeing if you're out there. Don't get mad at me. Don't be hacking my phone unless you like redheads. All right, so let's go to Target. This is a report from ABC 7 in, I don't know why I chose this one, but in New York City. New York City! It's a good report. Now, if you haven't seen the costume I'm talking about, you could go to the video feed real quick on Facebook or Twitter X or whatever and look at it. Or you could just look up on your phone. Target had to pull some Halloween costumes because I just can't stress enough how not racist this Halloween costume is. It's hinging on, in the face, it's supposed to be like an evil clown, like the clown of your nightmares. And so it has like a crazy evil face, and the face is black, and it's got a big menacing clown grin. But they're saying, well, that looks like blackface. Why? Because it has a black face and, big lips and big teeth? But that's what an evil clown would look like, too. Clowns have the big, you can't get a... All right, I'll play you the report now. Just have fun.
Target is pulling children's Halloween costumes after critics say resemble blackface.
The company is now apologizing and investigating how they say the costume made it onto store shelves. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
This morning, Target is apologizing and removing a children's Halloween costume after it was widely criticized as racist. The images of the costume are being compared to racist caricatures, evoking blackface. Target now acknowledges the costume should have never been for sale, saying, as a company, we got this wrong, and we are deeply sorry. We know this is especially hurtful for our black guests, team members, and partners. Removing the costume is an important first step, and we are looking closely at how this happened. It comes 1 year after the company's controversial move to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, which sparked protests and boycotts by shoppers.
We need to hold larger corporations accountable.
One Minneapolis area business leader claims this new costume controversy is an indirect result of Target's DEI decision last year, saying, you rolled back diversity, so who's in the room now to say, hey, this is wrong? One commenter on social media saying, the amount of people this costume had to go through to get approved says a lot. What year is it?
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
What are you people talking about? Is there no one from the other side of the argument y'all could have gone and dug up for that? There's no one that is like, there's 0% actually offensive to anybody. In fact, there's a 0% chance anyone who's not already a woke liberal would complain about that costume. In fact, there is maybe a 1% chance that this was somebody besides a woke white liberal woman. Because I would have seen that costume and I wouldn't have thought racism in 100 years. Because the mouth kind of looks like an evil Ronald McDonald or like the clown from It. Remember Pennywise, the clown from It? He's got the big lips and he's got the big teeth. Nice and evil. Except the costume had the black mesh over the face so you could still see through with your regular eyes. But it looked even more evil because it was dark. And the clothing was a clown costume, and the theme colors were orange and black. So it's just an evil clown. And anyone know with the big triangle hat with the puffball on the top? Any rational person looking at that would say, oh yeah, they're doing the whole evil clown motif. Got it. All right. But the demand for racism outstrips the supply so bad that Target had to pretend like this was, oops, this is a boo-boo. And the rationale at the end of this news clip where they were like, listen, how many people did this have to go through? Was how many failures? No, none of them were failures. In fact, that makes my case. because the people that designed the costume clearly didn't think it was racist, unless they're just closet Klansmen, which I seriously doubt. And so then the costume company themselves pitched it, put it along, the distributors that got it on the Target shelves, the Target buyers that received it, the people that shipped it, the warehouse people, dozens of people saw this, and not one of them thought, oh, wow, they must be making fun of blacks. I think if that's what you see looking at this costume, you're a racist. Oh, look, it's an ugly costume with someone with big teeth and big lips. Jesus, why are they making fun of black people? That is a racist statement. The complaint about this is more racist than the actual costume itself. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. And why do we have to go through all this pain and suffering? They're like, that looks like blackface, like the old minstrel shows. Yeah, you mean the minstrel shows that the showbiz liberals in Hollywood and the showbiz industry, which is completely, overwhelmingly dominated by Team Blue. So let me get this straight. Democrats used to make fun of you during minstrel days, and now we all have to suffer because other Democrats are going to complain that completely innocuous Halloween costumes in 2026 remind them of the terrible things Democrats used to do to black people. What in the heck world are we living in? And I'm sure you've noticed this before, but it bears saying that the cultural appropriation complaints only go one direction, don't they? Because you can go to Spirit Halloween right now. They're already open. I bet you there's a white trash costume no one's complaining about. I bet you there's a hillbilly costume. I bet you there's some costume, some guy in a straw hat, and you got to black out one of your teeth, wear overalls, look stupid, and no one gets offended by that. Why? Because it's a costume. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't. If it hurts your feelings, something's wrong with you. It's not like they have an actual. No one in a minstrel show looked like this. Not one minstrel show that Mike Train has been to looked like this. I'm kidding. I just had to make sure if he was paying attention, and he is. No, I'm kidding. That's totally Garrett's thing. The good Garrett goes to this. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go check it out because it is even less racist than you're imagining right now. It's amazing. And I mean, there is so much solid material for a Saturday Night Live skit in this storyline, but you know that they're not going to touch it because you could do just about anything. Like what? I see. I'm just going to get myself in trouble. But like when you have the, I remember there being a costume in Spirit Halloween last year where it was a guy-girl combo, and you could dress up as fried chicken. Yeah, you could dress up. You could be a drumstick, and the wife could be a wing. But you know who they used on the label there? I remember that. They didn't use a brother, that's for sure. They were smart enough to do that one. But listen, in the complaints between the races back and forth, white people are upset because, we just got stabbed at a track meet, or we get falsely accused the couple times this summer a black guy is drowned while he was hanging out with white friends. We have affirmative action. We have DEI. We have all these policies that are lined up against us. We don't have any scholarship programs for us, but everyone else under the sun gets one. We don't get a parade. We don't get a month. We don't get a day. We don't get a flag. We don't get anything. But on the other side, what's your complaint? Well, some Halloween costumes could be interpreted, if you just extremely misinterpret what the costume is racist. That is so pathetic. Andrew in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
I just wanted to make a point that the kid in the costume on the pictures I'm seeing for this Target costume, he's a black kid. So what are we doing here, It's kind of weird.
I mean, you can't, I guess you can kind of tell because for those of you who can't see, that there's a cloth over his face, and it's a sheer cloth that you can barely see through, and I guess that's a black kid. It might just, I don't know. But you saw the costume. Do you think it's racist?
No, it's kind of ugly. Not really.
I know, right? Thank you very much, Andrew. And this is like the people that are making fun of the WNBA right now. It's like they don't want to have a gender test because there's going to be, look at these players, they're going to be outed as men. And then it shows like 4 of the players from the WNBA, and I don't know their names. But I'm like, that is so. You're just making fun of them because they're ugly. They're not dudes. They're just manly looking. They just have a big jaw. They just kind of look like me. They have a big old forehead, a big old jaw. Now you're just making fun of ugly people. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'll give you some of the reactions to the costume coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Has any store, Target or Spirit or anybody, have they ever pulled a Halloween costume for being offensive to white people? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, you know the answer to that's no. I haven't even Googled it. So if I'm wrong, please call in and correct me, and I will happily offer you an excited retraction here, but I can't remember any time. If you're just joining us, Target had to pull a Halloween costume because people were complaining that it was racist, and most people couldn't see the racism in the costume. It is such a pathetic stretch, an absolutely pathetic stretch. But they make the point. I'm going to replay the news. It's only a minute for the new people. But they make the point that this went through several hands and no one flagged it or saw anything wrong with it. Yeah, because there is nothing wrong with it. If we are going to let the final assessment of the Halloween costumes go to the lowest common denominator of any woke grievance out there, then almost no costume could survive that. However, they do admit that this was an accident. Target and the costume maker, well, I don't know how this got through. It's a lapse in judgment. We'll make sure this never happens again. We shall double our efforts. But if a costume has never been pulled for being offensive to white people, you mean there hasn't been one accident? There hasn't been one oversight with all the hands that this go through and these clearly racist and thoughtless people? Not one? Well, that's not believable, is it? So you know what this is. This is them inventing a pretend grievance because grievances are their currency.
Target is pulling children's Halloween costumes after critics say it resembled blackface.
The company is now apologizing and investigating how they say the costume made it onto store shelves. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Oh, I know how it made it on store shelves. A little thing called trucks is what I'm guessing. That's how they...
Target is apologizing and removing a children's Halloween costume after it was widely criticized as racist. The images of the costume As a company, we got this wrong and we're deeply sorry. For Black guests, team members, and partners.
How is it hurtful? I don't get that at all. We know this is especially hurtful for our Black guests, team members, and partners. What about the color of their skin that makes Halloween costumes more hurtful? Racism more hurtful to them? They're not zoo animals. Can you treat them like you treat everyone else? What is going on? Because here, let me finish the report and then I'll finish my criticism.
Removing the costume is an important first step, and we are looking closely at how this happened.
We're cutting up cars today.
It comes 1 year after the company's controversial move to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, which sparked protests and boycotts by shoppers.
We need to hold larger corporations accountable.
One Minneapolis area business leader claims this new costume controversy is an indirect result of Target's DEI decision last year, saying, "You rolled back diversity, so who's in the room now to say, hey, this is wrong?"
Rolling back diversity programs and not selling diversity shirts doesn't mean, well, this is all a 100% monolithic block of evil straight white Christian males. What is this fantasy oppression? They think they're living in sort of this racial handmaid's tale, and it's just totally invented out of whole cloth. And is there no adult in the room to go, no, that's not racist. You just need to move on. Hang on, let me finish.
One commenter on social media saying, the amount of people this costume had to go through to get approved says a lot. What year is it?
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Hey, Sophie Flay, you didn't go get any social media comments from random people on the other side going, this clearly isn't racist? Did you talk to anybody who was on the other side of this issue? Or was this all just a one-sided propaganda piece? Because if you were a real journalist and you were really trying to get behind the story of this costume, it was accused of being racist. Is it racist? I don't know. Let's go ask the company that made the costume. Let's go ask the employee, the designer, employed by the company that actually drew out the costume. Let's go look at the team that approved it. Let's go look at the packaging people and ask them, what was your intent when you made this costume? Did you intend this to be a racial slight or a stereotype of some sort? And you know the answer is going to be no. I meant for it to look like a scary clown from your clown nightmares. It has an evil grin, and that's all. And then they could have said, oh, okay. And then they turned back to the people that were complaining that said, hey, we think this is a racist costume. And then Target could go, well, you can think that, but you're wrong. Here's what it really is. It's just a scary looking clown. That's it. And there's not one adult in the room. There's not one adult that'll put their foot down and say, no, that's not a legit complaint. It's not a racist costume. I understand that you're hypersensitive about race and you need to have some sort of grievance in order to continue your worldview. But this one's not going to work. That's not a racist costume. And I can't pretend like it's a racist costume. And to see Target pretending like it's a racist costume, to see the news, see ABC Channel 7 up in New York City pretend like it's a racist costume, for them to pass it all along, and then for them to put together a news piece with not one dissenting opinion or not one rational, actual act of journalism there. Did they go talk to the company? Did they go get the company side of the story? The company that made the costume, the designer that made the costume? Because what if you talk to the guy that drew it out and he was like, oh yeah, there was this scary movie a few years ago, like it was one of the background robots in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie or something to that effect. What if he actually could give you a pop culture reference or landmark that the costume was based on? Well, then they lose the narrative, they lose the talking point. In fact, they look like fools because it'll be shown that we were concerned about racism and it turns out we're just idiots who don't know a cartoon character when we see it. But listen, black people, if you're listening to this show, just know that racism is such a small issue in this country that it makes the news when there could be perceived racial slights in a scary Halloween costume aimed at clowns. That's how much we've got it whittled down. There's no slavery. There's no segregation. There's no Jim Crow. There's no unfair hiring standards. There's no poll taxes. There's no literacy tests. There's no riding in the back of the bus. It's all the way down to perceived slights on innocuous Halloween costumes. And I think we should all give ourselves a round of applause that we've come this far as America in bridging the racial gap. I think Target just proved it because that is such a lame, weak complaint. Coming up next, terrible idea coming out of California. They want to make little shacks for homeless to whip their mules. I'm not making that up. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, the big question is this real or is this a bit? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I appreciate getting the feedback on the Target costume topic. I'm getting some funny stuff, but a real question on that, Dana had asked, is this censorship? And the answer to that's easily no. I get what you're saying. It's not censorship if it's done at the private sector or if it's done without the coercion of government. It's not censorship when the general public, your customers, are complaining. Now, even if it's just a small, scant 5% of your customers that are offended by that and you decide to pull it, that makes it not censorship. It's just a business move. It's a PR move. It might be an ill-fated, unwise PR move, but no, it doesn't count as censorship. But if you have more feedback, james@wbap.com, or send me a Facebook Messenger message. So this next story comes from Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley, the guy who brought you the Leering Center from the Somali fraud in Minneapolis. Remember that guy? He went out and he busted some people doing other things in other places. This one is going down in California. Now, California just passed the anti-Nick Shirley law where they made it illegal for you to peruse public records on entitlement programs and then go harass the people for stealing your money. And I did have to edit this one, but just know this is Nick Shirley bringing you the story of California. And this isn't a law yet, but this is proposed. And the fact that this is proposed and this guy didn't get laughed out of the room, it's terrible. And I don't know what to call this. It's for homeless people. Some of the commenters are calling it a wank tank. We'll just leave it at that.
If you thought Los Angeles and California couldn't get any more crazier, watch this.
I'd like to propose that Los Angeles consider a pilot program for free hygienic sexual relief clinics, primarily serving the homeless and unhoused. This means equality. It means private sexual relief through masturbation or, where appropriate and consensual, with a partner. All funded by public tax dollars and managed with professional oversight.
Yes, you heard that right. Here in Los Angeles, they're considering a pilot program for hygienic sexual relief clinics. This means that homeless would have a location for them to go and masturbate and have sex in. So imagine a location like Skid Row right here. They'd have a place where the homeless can go masturbate and have sex in. Who's going to go clean those places out after a bunch of homeless people have had sex? And who's going to monitor the ages of those individuals that are going in and having sex? We know a lot of minors live out here in Skid Row. It also sounds like this could just be a place for a lot of women to get raped, quite frankly.
I don't even have to add jokes to that. Like, you understand that I could sit here and try and write jokes, but how do you top that? You heard a guy who got elected and is in office saying, well, we need to provide some facilities for homeless people to go do that? Really? Really? I think if you don't have your life in order, so much so that you're sleeping on the street, you don't even have a car to go to, you don't have a job, you don't have one member of your family that would take care of you in your entire existence on earth, you don't have one friend who would let you crash on their couch, I think you have bigger priorities you need to take care of before you get to that. And how luxurious are we supposed to make this lifestyle of being homeless? You know, you start adding all of these amenities. What's the incentive to not be homeless anymore? Because one of my great incentives of not being homeless is, you know how much less action I would get if we were homeless? And I wouldn't have gotten Miss Parker in the first place, obviously, if I had been some homeless bum. But don't you want these people to get off the street? If that was your kid on the street, would you want all these government programs saying, hey, here's some free food, you can stay on the street. Here's some free water, you can stay on the street. Here's some hypodermic needles, you can stay on the street. Yes, you can pitch a tent anywhere you want on public lands and keep you on the street. No, we're not going to harass you. No, we're not going to ticket you. No, we're not going to arrest you. We'll even provide bathrooms. We'll provide all kinds of other public amenities. We'll let you go in the library all hours of the day. We'll give you free public transportation. We'll give you free health care. You're basically locking them in to Skid Row. You're locking them on the bottom floor of society. And now you're going to accommodate their sexual gratification? Dude, if my oldest kid just turned 16 this week. Isn't that great? Congratulations. But if he was destitute and had some sort of addiction issues and living on the street, you think I would want the government to go build him a shed to where he could go whip his mule? Absolutely not. If you got that kind of money, why don't you send him to rehab? Why don't you put him in a clinic? Why don't you put him in a mental institution? I'm from East Texas. We used to send him down to Rusk, the state mental hospital. It was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. We just call it Rusk. Ken, in Arlington, are you in one of these he sheds right now? Is that what's going on, Ken?
Well, but there was one disclaimer about the story. It's not Skid Row anymore. It's called Pee Wee Herman Row.
Why is it called Pee Wee Herman Row?
Because remember what he did in the movie theater.
Yes. Haven't we all done that? Is that really something that is endemic to Pee Wee Herman?
Well, I mean, he's the most famous one.
Is that the most famous public, water of all time?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like it was, what was his name?
Paul Rubin?
Yeah, Paul Rubin. It wasn't like the one that shot Kennedy, shot him in the back of the head. I don't think Pee Wee Herman was that good of a name, so I don't think anybody got shot in the back of the head.
What do you think about Lee Harvey Oswald or something?
Yeah, one of them too.
Was he known for that? See,
no, I don't know. He was in the theater. Ain't it funny how everything that has anything to do with shooting is in a theater?
Let's just leave it. Yep. These are all funny jokes. We'll just cut it off right there. Weird Al Yankovic. He's coming to town. He's going to be at Dickies Arena September 25th. Special guest Puddles Pity Party. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Coming up next, an update on the incredible wildfire in Palo Pinto and Jax County. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. I'm James Parker. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, my next segment here is going to be a continuing saga that we've been telling you about for a couple years now. If you're a regular listener to the show, you've probably heard me talk about Code Launch. I've gone the last couple of years. And what it is it's a show that's like Shark Tank, but for startup apps. And the reason why I was so interested in it is because it's a local company that puts this together. It's a local show that's produced here, but it is a worldwide, really North America-wide. No, I guess there were some South America people in that too. Well, okay, let's go back to worldwide. It's a worldwide open contest, and it's actually evolved to this year where instead of just doing a live show and streaming it after the fact, they actually produced what's like a TV show with several episodes in it. And it's been running for a while now, but the finale is tonight. And the finale is something that I really thought this is what TV would be like 20 years ago. Do you remember when we were kids and we were watching Star Search and how cool that was, that people could vote on something that was happening on the TV screen, and it made TV interactive? Now, radio has always been interactive. You can call in and talk on the show, and you hear other people call in. You can send me messages in the middle of the show and be a part of the conversation. And I've always thought TV was really slow to adopt that. And so now that we have this sort of mishmash of technologies, the internet, the social media, and the old TV format, what's happening tonight is what I think a lot of people are going to be copying in the future. And to help me out with that, Jason Taylor's coming back on from Code Launch. Or actually, what's the this new show called? The official title for it? I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, Next Founder Up. All right, so pretend the person listening knows nothing about it. Why does he need to watch the finale tonight? Wade, when did that happen? That's news to me. You got signed with Netflix? Oh. Well, Jason, the person listening right now, if he watches Next Founder Up tonight, we say it's interactive. How does he participate? Oh, did you do that just for me? Oh, that is so nice. Look at that. You get your own. Nice. Okay. So, use promo code James. Did you say 80% off? And what's coming up in November? I did. Yeah, I brought the kiddo. All right, so Jason Taylor, the the show that's going to happen tonight was actually part of it. Most of it was filmed at a studio that I didn't even know existed off the tollway up here. Where on earth did you find this place? Yeah, they had so many pre-built sets. So if you want to do a scene in a diner, if you want to do a scene in an office, if you want to do a scene in a restaurant, if you want to do a scene, they had so many different little mini sets in there. That was a super cool setup. All right, so what's next for Code Launch and Next Founder Up? Just the World Championships and then Netflix, maybe? So if somebody pays in, what do they get for their money? The people that do the promo code. Super cool. Well, I hope to see you on Netflix soon. Maybe it'll be Hulu or Amazon. But tonight it happens, 6 p.m. CodeLaunch.com is where you can get set up. Thank you very much, Jason Taylor. Appreciate it. All right. Now, the updates on the news coming up next are going to center around the fire, the giant wildfire that we made a little bit of progress on. And then also the Buc-ee's founder said that he's going to be sticking with business-friendly red states from here on out. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So, real quick, I'm going to get you updated on the wildfire situation that's happening just west of town. But I just learned, I'm a big Buc-ee's fan. Did you know the founder of Buc-ee's, his first name, well, his nickname is Beaver? I didn't know. Anyway, you'll hear from him after we get this update on the wildfire. Palo Pinto County, North Palo Pinto County, Southern Jax County. Listen up, because this is your neighborhood.
We have breaking news this morning on the Ross wildfire burning in Palo Pinto County. In the last 5 minutes, we've learned that it has exploded to 80,000 acres burning and only 12% contained. Earlier, we had said 50,000 acres. That number now 80,000. This is a look at the wildfire from above, and it's been a long night for fire crews there working to put a dent in this major wildfire, which is about 90 minutes west of downtown Dallas.
Now you're looking at images now of a home catching fire, devastating. They have some structures that have been destroyed, like the one you're looking at. Meteorologist Greg Field says our fire threat remains high today. We're going to check with him in just a bit on the conditions.
Yeah, so it's huge, but at this time yesterday it was 50,000, and it had just started the night before. So the growth has definitely slowed down tremendously, and they said it was about 12% contained, and that was this morning. So I imagine here we are about 6 hours later. Hopefully they made a little bit of progress on that. But the good news is I don't have to announce any new evacuations like I did yesterday. So yesterday I was coming on the show and saying some of you aren't going to be able to go home tonight. I don't have to tell any new people about that today. But the downside on the update from yesterday is I did see some houses burning. I saw 3 different ones, and one of them was really nice. Had like the upstairs balcony porch that wrapped around. Oh, do we have to lose a house that is that awesome? All right, so now to a Beaver update. Buc-ee's. By the way, I am a huge Buc-ee's fan. Miss Parker, huge Buc-ee's fan. Hi, Miss Parker. I didn't know his nickname was Beaver. But Buc-ee's has been around since the early 80s. And up until recently, it was a Texas phenomenon only. And it was just, 5 years ago, they finally built one outside of Texas, and they built one in Alabama, and now they got one in Mississippi, and then there's one in Tennessee. And so they finally broke out of their Texas shell in the last few years. And the founder of Buc-ee's, Beaver Alpin, is learning that not all states and not all jurisdictions appreciate the business, the revenue, the glory that is Buc-ee's. And now he said, forget it. I'm not even going to bother with the blue states anymore. I'm just sticking with the people that want me here, which I think is beautiful. Why would you bother? If they don't want you there, don't give them your business.
We have a lot of opportunities. We're growing, building in a lot of places. But when you find a conservative, business-friendly state with a phenomenal workforce, it makes a difference. And I'm starting to realize life's too short to try to build in places that people don't appreciate what you're bringing, versus a place like this where people do appreciate what you're building. So that leadership, that concept, that idea of conservative, business-friendly, family-oriented concept works so much better if it trickles down from the very leadership, from the very top at the governor's office, at the congressman, at the senator, at the mayor, the representatives. And so what we found when we got here into Benton was a business-friendly town. They said, let's roll up our sleeves and let's go get a Buc-ee's built.
So there you go. That was him saying some nice things about our neighbors over in Arkansas. I'm guessing that was Benton, And such is the ways of the world. The idea that you can regulate businesses and control them and get them to act in the way you want has definite limits. And I want this message and I want this lesson to be applied to data centers as well. Some of the complaints against data centers, absolutely legit. The idea that we need to block them is insane. But if you say, well, look, you can build data centers here, but we can control how much electricity that you're going to use from our grid, or we can make you make all your electricity, and we can make you provide all your own water, and we can make you provide all your own, they'll just take it elsewhere. You can't just keep stacking up rules and regulations and air quote protections without having a negative impact. And eventually, if you don't welcome these businesses here, they will go where they are welcome, and rightfully so. There was a very ugly couple of months that were had. No, I was born and raised in Texas, was here for the first 29 years of my life, but success in radio made me had to go to other markets. Luckily, I was able to come back. For a while. I was in New Orleans, and that's where I was when Donald Trump got elected in 2016. I was working at a station just like this. We had Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity in the middle of the day. And at that time, I was on in the evenings. And if you left the studio in downtown New Orleans and you walk 2 blocks to the nearest Exxon station, there's a Tiger Mart at Lee Circle. And the podium on Lee Circle, there's a obelisk and a statue, or used to be a statue. They took it down. But the day after Donald Trump won the election, I saw the pedestal and spray painted really big. And when I say really big, I mean the letters were 3 feet high. It said F white people, except it was spelled out. If you walked around to the other side of the pedestal, it said die whites, die. Didn't make the news. City came out, scrubbed it off. You didn't hear about it. Now you'll hear about the swastika that was spray painted on the street in Mesquite that nobody saw last week. Oh yeah, they'll spend 2 minutes. They'll have someone on from the Southern Poverty Law Center to break down how racist we are. But I remember thinking, die whites, die. I'm white. I'm not sure I feel very welcome here. And in another spring of a hissy fit, some short time later, there's one of these theaters that's downtown, and just like they do here, we've got to preserve this. We've got to renovate. You know how we spent all kinds of money renovating the Majestic in downtown Dallas on Elm? Well, they had the exact same project. They do the same dumb leftist things in all these big cities. They had renovated the Sanger Theater, and on the marquee, right after Trump had gotten elected, they changed it to where it said, everything you love about New Orleans comes from black people. It's like, oh, really? Because I'm on the radio here. You don't like my show? My kids were born here. You don't like them? And from then on, I couldn't get out of that place fast enough. And it doesn't have to be that overt. It doesn't have to be that mean. It doesn't have to be die whites, die, or any of that stuff. But these things add up, and I know exactly what he's talking about. And the reason why we are doing so good is because we're not ticking off people like Beaver Alpin. Oh my God, that's his name, huh? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Texas homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Listen, when it's 11,000 degrees outside, if you have Rhino Shield on your home, you are saving money. You are saving comfort. Your house is all sealed up. You're blocking 80% of UV rays. And on top of that, listen, if you're worried about some sort of problem you have in the facade of your house, you're like, I need to make some minor repairs. Here's a little secret of the pros. If you were going to use stupid old paint, you would make the repairs on the side of your house, and then you'd have to come paint the house. And so you'd be out thousands of bucks for the repairs, thousands of bucks for the paint. If you get Rhino Shield, they have to seal up your house perfectly. So if there's any warp boards or anything that needs to be fixed in the trim or the overhang, they will do that basically at cost, just so the technology will work properly. And then you can take those repairs, roll it up with the cost of coating your house and not repainting your house. And then instead of being out thousands of dollars, they will put it on a low monthly payment. So it's easier than ever to fix your house upgrade your house and put it on a low monthly payment. Paint can't do that. So we don't paint your house. You coat your home. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I don't know what y'all want me to do about this natural disaster in Nepal, the border of Nepal and China. I know you don't want me to do anything, but I don't know what to comment on this. Have you seen this? This is one of the worst natural disasters you have ever seen. If you hadn't seen it yet, I mean, what it is I don't know what started this, but they say it was a mudslide. It looks like a dam broke somewhere, and they are, oh man, the worst one I saw was there's some river and it looks like a beautiful postcard of a village in a valley, and in the river that's running at the bottom of the valley on the bridge, the water started going really fast, and it started getting closer and closer. It started breaking the banks of the river, and so a bunch of people were running onto the bridge because the bridge was higher up and they would be safe. And then when the bridge collapses, I just saw hundreds of people pretty much lose their life in front of your face. That's horrific. Look, I want people to remember this when they talk about how the earth is fragile. We're destroying the environment. We're making too many plastic grocery bags. Oh, really? Yeah. The earth is scared of us. The earth is so weak, fragile, we can ruin it with some grocery bags. Can y'all stop with this? It's an old George Carlin bit. Let me just...
The planet has been through a lot worse than us. Been through all kinds of things worse than us. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, hundreds of thousands of years of bombardment by comets and asteroids and meteors, worldwide floods, tidal waves, worldwide fires, erosion, cosmic rays, recurring ice ages, and we think some plastic bags and some aluminum cans are going to make a difference?
And that's the truth. Now, both Team Red and Team Blue are guilty of this in America. And it's one of the reactions that drives me absolutely insane. We had the terrible story of the flooding last 4th of July, Camp Mystic and all the other people in the Kerrville area. Dozens lost their lives. And what was the reaction? We need to pass a new law. We need to make some new hurdles for people opening camps. We need to expand the power of government. We just need to change some things. And the people are saying the same thing you hear after every natural disaster. Well, we need to just try this because if it could save one life, or if we had done this, then that could have saved so many lives. Look, you're not going to be able to outlaw natural disasters. You're not going to be able to make a flood illegal. You're not going to be able to save everyone's lives. There are going to be bad things that happen to innocent people that are out of your control, and that's okay. But stop acting like the earth is just some Fabergé egg that the human beings we're so powerful that we can control the weather. We can stop the weather. We could stop floods. We could stop, even if there is catastrophic global warming, you think there's just a thermostat we can go out there and hit the button? Oh yeah, let's just make everyone take the bus or a train instead of drive their own cars, and that'll change the earth. The chlorofluorocarbons, the acid rain. Shut up. You are not God. This is not your domain. It is not in your control. I know that makes you feel less safe to think and to have to admit that man is the frail one. Man is the fragile one. The earth could shake us off at any time. One good volcano, one good meteor blast, we're all gone. We're the fragile ones. We're the Fabergé eggs. So can we stop with the bike lanes? Can we stop with DART? Can we stop with all these green policies? Can we stop with the plastic bag hatred? The only reason you haven't been killed in a natural disaster thus far is because the earth has allowed you to live. God is in control. Not you, not your government bureaucrats, not one more bureau away from getting rid of natural disasters. Just appreciate the life you had. That could have been you. That could have been you on the bridge. That could have been you in a landslide. That could have been you in a tornado. That could be your house that just got burned up in the grass fire, Palo Pinto County. A lot of you have been there before. A lot of you have seen tragedy. Then I had my house burned down before. It's out of your hands. You can do everything right. Bad things still happen to you. You know what? You just learn to appreciate life going forward a little bit more. And that's what I think. When I see the landslides in Nepal, that's horrible. The video is shocking. I can never unsee it. But there's a micro version of that happening right now to your neighbors over in Jax County and Palo Pinto County. So we're with you too. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, another back and forth. You want to talk flock cameras again? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, a little natural disaster talk on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Between the wildfire that we had going on, or still have going on, Palo Pinto County, southern Jackson County, then the horrible video from the giant mudslide and floods that are happening in Nepal over the last 24 hours. Brutal stuff, but it all kind of has the same feeling as the Camp Mystic floods that we watched happen in Texas last 4th of July. I just remember it was 4th of July weekend. And these people that think that Mother Nature is something that can be controlled if just for one more government bureau or regulation or law, it's a really pompous way to look at the world. What are you, God? You're putting yourself in the place of God. You really think we can stop floods? You really think we can prevent people from dying in natural disasters if only we give government a little bit more control over our lives? What kind of monstrous, naive sophistry is this? Brent in Lake Weatherford, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
James, I apologize. I don't remember the name of the volcano a long time ago up in Iceland. You know, it put stuff out forever. The airplanes had to fly around it. It put so much stuff in the air that they said it was more particulates. I don't have the terminology. I apologize. Put more things in the air than man or the earth had ever put in at one time. And it, you know, Mother Earth clears it up. And Mother Earth erupts sometimes, and sometimes she cleans it up. We just better be glad we're on Mother Earth.
You know, I like that reminder because the one that comes to mind when you say that is Mount St. Helens blew up when I was a kid. And one of the counter narratives to the global warming nonsense is the eruption of Mount St. Helens in, what was that, 1980 or something? It put more CO2 into the atmosphere than all man-made sources combined going back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So
I think the one in Iceland was more prolific than that because it spewed for so long, and it altered flights from there.
I remember that. Yeah, that's a great reminder. Great reminder for all you people that were on Mount St. Helens or the Reykjavik volcano. Do you feel like you're a threat to the earth today? This is Richard in Buffalo Springs. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yeah, hi, James. I'm just going to remind you, it was the people, the John Birch or the Greenpeace, I don't know, in the late 70s, they were afraid that we were going to deforest the earth. So we went from paper sacks to plastic.
I love bringing that up. Yeah, you're right. Because when they first came up with plastic, you know, the environmentalists hate the plastic sacks now, but the environmentalists love the plastic sack because we got to save the trees. And I was a little kid when those plastic sacks first started showing up in the grocery store. And I remember saying to my mom, can't we just grow more trees, but oil is finite? You know, like, this doesn't make any sense. This is 100% backwards. They've done that with so many things because 10 years before that, they were telling you that people are going to die because of global cooling and a new ice age is coming. And then it went to people are going to be too hot. I remember margarine came in the 80s. They're like, we're going to replace evil old butter with this because butter is made of fat and animals and there's all kinds of nasty lactose and what in it. And then we have this beautiful, pristine vegetable oil that we've just squeezed and we fluffed it up with hydrogen a little bit. Now it's outlawed. Now it's called trans fats and they're not even allowed to sell it. So yeah, they flip-flop on so many of these things so bad. And yeah, the paper sacks, plastic bags, that's a great example, sir.
Yeah, and that all started in California, just like everything else that's detrimental.
Well, look, if you want to go back to the beginnings, listen to this. This may sound like hyperbole, but the beginning of the environmentalist movement can be traced to the Nazis.
I don't doubt it.
Well, here,
I don't doubt it.
You know what? I can just bring that up for you. I have it in the Audiotron 3000. Listen to this, Richard in Buffalo Springs and everyone else checking it out. This is Rupert Darwall. The Nazis were the original environmentalists.
Yeah, if you look at what the Nazis were doing in the 1930s and their environmental policies, virtually every theme you see in the modern environmental movement, the Nazis were doing. So it happens to be a historical fact that the Nazis were the first political party in the world to have a wind power program. It also happens to be a fact that they were against meat eating and they considered that it was terribly wasteful that so much grain went to feed livestock rather than to make bread. It's also the case that they had the equivalent of fuel economy rules because they had the most expensive gasoline in Europe, and so they basically had very few people driving cars. So virtually everything that you see, I think actually the most extraordinary thing that I came across was this quote from Adolf Hitler, where he told an aide once, "I'm not interested in politics, I'm interested in changing people's lifestyles." Well, that's extraordinarily contemporary. That is what the modern environmental movement is all about. It's about changing people's lifestyles.
Yeah, so if this is the first time you're hearing that, this is why you listen to the James Show, because you know the rest of the narrative water carriers would never tell you that. So yeah, those Nazis, look out for them. Nazis, yes, Nazis, the ones that brought you the first government-sponsored windmill program, the ones that brought you the first fuel efficiency standards for motor vehicles, the first people that were pushing veganism as a national order. You know, hey, the Germans have universal health care. That's something AOC wants. It's something James Tallarico wants. What year did Germany institute national health care? Oh, that's right, 1941. Jeez, who was in charge of Germany in 1941? So yeah, the guy who loves gun control, the guy who loves abortion, the guy who loves windmills, the guy who was a vegetarian, the guy who loves cafe standards, the guy who loves pretty much everything down the row on Team Blue. He's listed by Wikipedia right now as far right. What of that is right? All right, that's going to just about do it for the James Show today. I guess I didn't get the other updates I was promising you here, but I can always, there's always going to be another James Show tomorrow. In the meantime, if you need more James Show action after I step out of here, go check out the podcasts and go check out the awesome videos and highlights that I've put up on social media. And remember, this Labor Day, $1,000 could be yours. Enter now for a chance to win and make your holiday weekend even better. The national contest is up now at WBAP.com. Go there, and in the little headline rotator at the top, click through, fill it out. Hopefully one of the James Show listeners gets to win this time. Sponsored locally by our friends over at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. All right, Mark Levin's next. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.